We're going to have a look at some of my raid builds from wins 1 to 4. These will include CMs, but you don't have to do CMs to use these. So starting with our base traits, we obviously take Chaos and Inspiration because we are healing here, and the two variants at the bottom are for Chrono and for Mirage. Note, you do not want to take Self-Deception if you don't have any deception skills. It's useless, so just take the middle trait. And on Chrono you can either take All's Well That Ends Well, which is the bottom one in the first line, or as I've got here, there's Delayed Reactions for slightly more CC. If you don't have any wells, All's Well That Ends Well is absolutely useless as well, so you might as well take Delayed Reactions. Obviously with Chrono you can take either Quickness or Alacrity depending on which one your group needs, and for both of them you can change your inspiration traits if you need to, so there's Medit's Feedback in the first line if required, or you can take the Super Speed trait in the middle line, or the Signet trait in the end one. Obviously these have some trade-offs. The standard is just the middle traits all the way across. For our equipment, we have a standard build which is basically full minstrel gear with Giver or Harrier weapons. It's not required, you can just take full minstrel with minstrel weapons. You've got Rune of Water, and concentration and paralyzation sigils. The relic generally is Phoebe on both a Chrono and a Mirage, solely because we don't really have many other sources of swiftness in our build. We would only have them if we took a shield, which you'll see later on I don't really take anywhere. If there's a CC bar, I like to take Mesmer runes instead. This does come at a cost of some concentration and some healing power, but honestly you don't really need those. We do so much healing anyway. And for the full healing effect, you can, instead of water, take monk runes, a transparent sigil instead of paralyzation, and flock relic instead of Phoebe. Obviously you lose your swiftness by doing that, and you drop your CC. So I don't tend to suggest the full healing build in many places at all. Certainly not in wins 1 to 4. You can take Harrier gear if you don't want to tank instead of minstrel gear. Honestly, that is absolutely fine. You don't have to tank anywhere. You can mix Harrier with Mage if you want to, but taking full minstrel, I just take it everywhere. Me and my fellow tank kind of trade off who does the tanking, and we have builds that take us over or under, hence why I have Harrier and Giver weapons on me at all times. Okay, so we're just going to have a quick run through the raid bosses. There are some options for each of them, and we've got both Chrono and Mirage builds. So Veil Guardian has a CC bar on him, so we can obviously take Moa Signet. It's a very nice skill. I start with MI to run in because we tank in the middle. So we do MI and then we swap to Moa whilst we're running in and hope that your group do not hit anything. If they do, it's fine, you're stuck with mass invisibility, but whatever. We've got some CC mantras on here, and Mirage Advance is also a CC, so they can be quite useful, especially if you accidentally get stuck on mass invisibility. Our Well of Precognition, if we're a Chrono, is doing Aegis for us, so we can try and Aegis some of the blue teleport circles. That's both the spawn of them or the actual use of them. Note Aegis will only block one and not several if they're stacked on top of each other. And if you have a quick or a lack DPS that doesn't do much might, you can take Well of Action. I prefer to tank on Rifle Spear, Spear is good for dodging all of the teleport circles with the 3 still, and it also has extra CC if you empower 5. Similarly for Gorseval, I like to take all of the CC. That's why we have basically CC variants. The top line here is all core Mesmer, and therefore Chrono and Mirage can take it. It really doesn't matter. You've got your mantra of concentration for the stomps or slams or whatever you want to call them. Obviously you still have your distort button, your F4 will do stability, but for most groups you're going to need slightly more stability than that. These are just basically your CC options. Every single skill other than mantra of stability are CC things. And I like to take my spear just because I can immobilize the ghosts with it, and obviously it also has extra CC if required. Then we're going to Sabetha, the end of win 1. The end of win 1. Gosh, we're not at 3 yet. And again, rifle spear. Mostly because, you know, what's the point of changing off of your weapon set? You're mostly going to stay in rifle anyway at Sabetha. And there's not actually much to take, especially if you're a Mirage. So we have, we just have skills. We have precognition on our Chrono for Aegis for the timed bombs. If someone accidentally puts one on the group, you can react. Gravity Well for the the middle one, Knuckles. He has a CC bar, Sabetha does not herself. And for the Mirage, we take John just for the extra clones. We might as well, because Moa is kind of overkill for Knuckles. He has a tiny CC bar. You can CC it very easily with just rifle or F3. Now we're going to go on to win 2. So Slothasor is our first boss in win 2. Again, rifle spear for the reasons stated before. Now this one does have some extra useful utilities because honestly it really depends on your group as to what you take. The first line is what I take every single week. It's CC and the stability mantra in order to use for the fear for the stun break at the end of the CC bar. Soth has quite a significant CC bar, and therefore taking lots of CC can really help your group out. We have obviously the Well of Action variant, and there's also Gravity Well in this, solely because you can use Gravity Well to group up all of the ads. I know we have a spear on this, but you can also take focus if you need to in order to group them all up if your group is struggling with them. Mirage, again, both those two skills other than your mantra of concentration are CC ones. And then our other useful utilities are Cleanse Mantra, Null Field, which cleanses and rips boons, and Feedback. Note you can't feedback the later slub lanes, but you can for the earlier ones, so it can be helpful still. Then we're going on to Bandit Trio. Now I personally do cliff and mortars, so I chill up on the cliff but also go down and do mortars, so I need Mimic for my portal, and I take Stability Mantra for Narella at the end. I have to be a Chrono to do this, otherwise I don't have improved alacrity and therefore my cooldowns don't work. If you're not doing mortars and you're just on the cliff, you can take basically whatever you like. I have Cleanse Mantra and Stability Mantra here in order to help at Narella, because that is going to be the only real time that you're down there. You do go down for Berg often, but he doesn't really do very much, so do whatever you like there. Now this does say Gravity Well for both Chrono and Mirage. Obviously for Mirage you can't take Gravity Well, just take John instead. Or you could take Time Warp if you really want to. just to give people a little bit of critness to help out. Then we go to Matthias. Now you've probably, after you've portal people up the cliff, you've probably gone and done some portal stuff to get them to Matthias. So watch where you put your skills. Just your portal probably has a really long cooldown on it. But these are my general options for Matthias. I like to take a good amount of CC. Obviously that top line can be both Chrono or Mirage, but yeah, you can do basically all of this with either. Your Well of Action if you need the Might and Fury, and then for Mirage you've got either Mirage Advance or you've got Crystal Sands. Crystal Sands is good for more Mirage Cloak, and Mirage Advance is good for more CC. You can just basically throw yourself at the person and CC them, which is really nice. I still have Rifle Spear. You could take Rifle Sword, and then whatever offhand you like, Focus, Shield, something like that. If you take Focus, you can always trait it, but it does come at the cost of clones. Then it will do Reflect as well. But your Sword Ambush does CC, so if your group is really struggling with the CC, you can always just bring extra. Now we're on to win 3. So we start win 3 with escorting Glenna through to Deep Construct. I like to take as much stability and Aegis as I can, so I prefer to use Chrono. Actually, the preferred to use Chrono is mostly because I like to CS my Moa Signet for the wards at the end. But this top line has Signet of Midnight, which we've not come across yet. That is there solely because it does blind, and therefore we can use it on the wards. Your Rifle 3 twice will also do blind, which is really useful for the wards. And if you do Mirage, you can bring Signet of Midnight and Crystal Sands instead of Precognition. I tend to bring Dagger Shield instead of my Spear, solely because then I can give Glenna a little bit more swiftness at the start. It really depends what you want to bring here. It doesn't really matter, it's Escort, honestly. Then we move on to Deep Construct. I basically go back to Rifle Spear. Spear has CC for Deep Construct, and then we have some options which are mostly coming down to CC. You will see that the middle 2 options do not have Stability Mantra. Whilst Mantra of Concentration makes doing the stability really, really easy, if you've got a slightly faster group, or you have one that doesn't get many of the jumps, then you can just use your Distortion stability for that. So obviously you can tailor it quite nicely to your group. Always bring Moa at Deep Construct. It's just so free to do 780 CC. Then we've got Twisted Castle. Now my group does a slightly faster strat, which is the bottom one. This is why I have Sword and Focus, because I do the first leap off the platform and portal them down effectively, and then I go and do the 5 statues, which is why I have Blink and Jaunt. So I do Fountain and then I do 5 statues. If you're doing it the normal LFG way, then you're probably running around with the group. You want Portal, so that you can portal people down for the dodge off the thing and fall down to your hopefully not to your death, but you know. And then I generally would take Cleanse Mantra and Stability Mantra. You could take Blink for towards the end, especially blinking up the stairs. But I do just like to have Cleanse and Stability for that too, because they like to fear you. Again, your elite still really doesn't matter so much here, but I've got Gravity Well to help with killing stuff and pulling it together. And then we have Xera. Xera, I like to bring Nullfield. Now, Nullfield is my favourite still in the game. I don't really, it's more nostalgic than anything else. It's actually really good at Xera because it does Boon Strip if you accidentally get her into the circles, or it does Condition Cleanse, I should say, and it does Condition Cleanse, which there are a lot of conditions at Xera. I like to take CC, obviously. I just like CCing everywhere, so that you can CC her bar really quickly, but also you have all these other options like Crystal Sands for more dodges, or Mirage Advance instead of Mantra of Distraction for your CC. It's just bring some CC and some Condy Cleanse really. Again, Spear, it's quite useful when tanking, because you can use the Spear 3 at the same time she does her Blade Frenzy. Now, if you're in full Minstrel Gear, that doesn't really hurt that much. If you're a Mirage, you can just dodge. If you're a Chrono, you can just heal yourself through it anyway. So, it's useful, but it's not really required. You can bring whatever second weapon set you like, or none. Who knows? Now, Cairn and Mursaat Overseer, obviously the start of Win 4 now, but I have on here a couple of options which look a bit weird because we've been used to having Heal Mantra, but I actually run kind of like a DPS heal Chrono at both of them currently. This is because we don't need the healer in my static. I actually run the second line on this slide, this turn slide, so that I do more damage, the boss dies quicker, everyone's happy that they don't have to press the special action key so often, which you have to do in CM. The ones that are full heal, the top line of Chrono and the top line of Mirage, with the heal mantra there, also have stability mantra. If you're doing normal mode, I would suggest stability mantra. It is really useful. You can ignore all of the greens and you can just stand and DPS the boss. In CM you need to do the greens because you get stacks, so stability mantra is less useful, but some groups will still take it and stability certain greens, which allows them to stand at the boss more often. The third line here has Mirage Advance, which you can use to get back to the boss from the greens, and Jaunt because, well, we don't really have any other useful utility on our Mirage for our elite still. 10 doesn't have a CC bar, so basically your elite still is whatever. Mursaat Overseer again has no CC bar and you can do whatever you like. I take the same things to Cairn and Mursaat Overseer, and yeah, you can just take whatever you like to here. It's effectively a keep people alive and do your job as a healer, but it's just a golem boss, so we aren't going to spend too long on this. You could also end up with all your stills on cooldown from doing, I don't know, if you're doing portals between the shovel and the wall or whatever. So yeah, so we don't worry too much about our utility stills for Mursaat Overseer. For Samarog, I would take the same things in normal mode and challenge mode. I have a spear and a rifle. Again, spear basically for the CC, but also it is good to immobilize. So if you immobilize Dildhelm, then he will pass the immobilize on to Redom, which keeps him in there for longer. If you want to use it for immobilize, do make sure to use your rifle 2 to triple Dildhelm first, and then use your spear 2 and 4 in order to immobilize. This will make it last longer, and you'll be happier with that. I prefer to use Chrono at Samarog solely because of CS. And also precognition, honestly. We get more CC out of it and more stability out of it that way. I try and do full stability coverage, and generally I am top of our CC chart with my Chrono. But you can bring Mirage, and these are the options that I would generally suggest. It's basically the same as Chrono, but it has Mirage Advance, which is a CC still. And then finally, for this quite long video, we have Deimos. Now, Deimos has 2 options for weapons in the top right here. Spear, rifle, which is what I would generally run, but I'm the stat heal, not the tank. For tanking, I would generally take rifle and then shield. It doesn't matter what your main hand is. You could take dagger, as I've got here, or scepter for extra block and more clones. You could take sword, although if you're playing sword with a Mirage, be careful because the ambush is a leap, which could put you in some dangerous situations. And I do prefer my Chrono. You'll see I have the same build from Samarog to Deimos. I don't generally change it out, but I like to do full Aegis for the pizzas and for the Mind Crush, so having CS allows me to cover more of those. I do like my spear for the stat heal because you can immobilize the prides. Again, remember to try and cripple them beforehand to make the immobilize last longer. So these builds will all work in normal mode as well as CM. You've got a load of options there, and it's basically find which one is best for your comp and for your brain. If you don't get on with a certain skill, you can probably take a different skill. And yeah, just just basically have fun with it. I will see you guys around, and I hope you enjoy your Heal Chronos and your Heal Mirages, and enjoy your raids. We'll have a 5 to 7 later on, and an 8 as well at some point, but for now, here's 1 to 4, the Heart of Thorns raids. See ya!